Welcome to the GCN Tech Show.
This week we take a look at a brand new Brompton bike, as well as checking out what upgrades you've been buying for your bike.
And our big talking point this week is, what are the most cost-effective ways to lose weight off your bike? Oh. Before we get on to our big talking point though, let's look at what's hot in the world of tech this week.
Well, firstly, off the back of Emma winning that Brompton World Championships, is there nothing she can't do? I know, yeah. Anyway, they've just released a new bike called the 9 Streets, which is named after a really stylish, cool area of Amsterdam, which is called the Straatjes. Now, we've never actually heard of that place, have we? Which is surprising, being the style icons that we are.
Yeah, it's very surprising, yeah. Brompton opened a store in this area over a year ago, and this is the first bike that they've released to commemorate that. And each bike has a unique two-tone paint job, meaning that no two are the same. Each one's unique, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I do like that. And I think that paintwork absolutely stands out so well, doesn't it? Because Brompton, let's face it, quite a conservative kind of brand or bike, aren't they? I mean, you know, when you see one in the street, you don't, you know, you look at it, oh yeah, cool, Brompton, but you don't really look at it that much. But that one, a real head turner, and I think it's a beauty. And anyway, would you ride one?
Yeah, I'd definitely have one. But if I had one, I'd talk like this all the time. I'd ride my new Dutch Brompton.
Oh yes, the Straatjes from Amsterdam. Yeah,
I love Brompton.
But yeah, if you want to send us in one or two, then we'll happily ride them to work. This week then, we're going to talk about the best ways to lose weight from your bike. And this is really close to our hearts, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, making your bike lighter is really satisfying because it offers a noticeable and significant difference and improvement every time you accelerate or ride up a hill, and you can really feel it. So we want to look at some of the more cost-effective ways to reduce the weight of your bike.
But let's also look at some of the least cost-effective ways to save weight off of your bike. I mean, obviously this does depend on the current situation you are in with your equipment at the moment, but areas such as frame, group set and wheels, they can save you a lot of weight.
They can, but they're not often the most cost-effective ways. They're the most obvious places, but if you consider, say, a medium level carbon frame set versus a premium carbon frame set, the difference in weight is typically around 150, 200 grams.
Yeah, not a lot, is it?
Yeah, but you often pay, you know, 1,000, 2,000 pounds more for that frame set. So although you are saving money and the frame's arguably a bit stiffer often, but yeah, it's not necessarily the best way to save weight.
Right then, Ollie, where are we going to save some weight first, mate?
Well, John, I'm a big fan of latex.
Yeah, me too. Snaps good.
So in all seriousness, latex inner tubes are a great way to save weight. Now, typically a latex tube will weigh around 60 grams, which you compare to a standard butyl inner tube, which weighs around 100, 110 grams. So you can instantly save about 50 grams per wheel.
Yeah, 50 grams, 50%.
Yeah, now they typically cost twice the price of a butyl tube, which can seem a bit expensive, but in a pounds per gram or euros or dollars or whatever your currency is, if you think of it in a pounds per gram basis, it's a really cost-effective way to lose 100 grams off your bike. What's not to like?
But there are a couple of disadvantages actually, because I've used them in the past. Firstly, you have to pump up your tyres every single day or every single time before you go out riding, because they do tend to leak a little bit.
Yeah, they're porous, that's right.
Yeah, which is a little bit of a pain sometimes. What about tyres?
That is an excellent point. Why am I still wearing this?
Yeah, get it off. So weird.
So it's quite likely that the tyres that came with your bike are not the lightest available.
No.
Now, a good example would be Continental's Grand Sports. They're quite a common stock tyre fitted to new bikes, and they weigh around 270 grams a tyre in a 25mm width. So
yeah, it's quite a bit of weight there. Take for example this, a Grand Prix TT. 180 grams that weighs.
Yeah.
So straight away you could save, 150, 200 grams just on your tyres alone, which is going to be less rolling resistance, which you're a big fan of.
Well, it is, yeah. So that is a faster tyre than the Grand Sport for sure.
Yeah.
So you've saved rolling resistance, but I think it's also worth factoring in that often with a lighter tyre, it's not always the case, but sometimes that can mean less longevity and decreased puncture protection with a lighter tyre as well. So it's worth just factoring that in. You might don't want to put the lightest tyres on available to humanity if you're going to be riding through winter.
Yeah, exactly. Save the silk track tubular tyres for the Siberian pine of your local velodrome instead. Now, what about an area of comfort then? Because bar tape adds a surprising amount of weight. And on the market, there is even specialist lightweight handlebar tapes that are available for those weight weenies of you watching.
Yeah, the difference in weight between different types of handlebar tape can actually be really significant, but I have another way, and that is to wrap it in a more minimal way. So when you wrap your tape, the amount of length you use can vary significantly depending on how much overlap you actually have when you wrap it around. So if you just overlap it with the minimal amount compared to a full you can save about that, 25 grams. But also think about how much tape you wrap along the top section of the bar as well. Maybe don't wrap the entire top.
Yeah.
Or don't wrap the top at all if you've got an aero bar. Saddles are a really cost-effective way to save weight off your bike. Now, if we take, for example, a Physique Arione Classic, it's a stock saddle on a lot of, high-end bikes, but it has aluminium rails, it weighs around 235 grams, and costs about 119 euros as a retail price. Now, if you were to upgrade that to Physique's top-of-the-range saddle, which is the Arione 00, that saddle weighs 140 grams, which is really light.
Yeah.
Now, it does cost 350 euros, which is very expensive for a saddle and represents a really significant upgrade for anyone. But again, when we think about it in terms of this cost per gram basis, it's still a more cost-effective way of losing weight off your bike than, say, going for a premium frame over a mid-level frame.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to change as well, isn't it? A saddle compared to a frame, just to lose some grams. Yeah. And then you could go even more extreme. Selle Italia, they've got a saddle called the C59. Now, apparently that's meant to stand for 59 grams. You had one, didn't you? You weighed it in.
Yeah, it's 61.
Yeah, but that could well be his scales, who knows? Yeah. But when you're trying to make a product as light as that, obviously there is a little bit of room for a bit of variation. How about getting out the saw and also your Dremel too?
Yeah, you've opened up a can. Well, you've drilled into a can of worms there, John. The art of drillium was, it's the practice of drilling holes in your components in a bid to save weight, and this was a lot more common back in the day when steel frames were more commonplace. And basically, people used to completely go to town. They would drill their frames, their handlebars, any components they could find, all the while treading the tightrope of structural integrity while turning the bits into Swiss cheese.
Yeah, now this was something which was actually most popular, I guess, with time trialists, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because they were putting out a more even amount of power. They weren't like road cyclists or road racers who were jumping here, there and everywhere. Obviously putting through quite a bit more stress through those components. And like you say, handlebars, frames, cranks, brake levers, you name it, people were going through it. And it's not really going to be very good for the manufacturer's warranty, is it?
You wouldn't think so, no?
Yeah, let alone aerodynamics. Any other mods?
Yeah, I got the saw out and I chopped the drops off a really expensive pair of handlebars once.
No. Go on.
But it did save weight. I saved 25 grams, but that admittedly was quite disappointing considering they were a really expensive pair of Physique 00 handlebars.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't do it again for just 25 grams because of the lack of versatility that you then lost. But, you only live once, thought I'd try it out.
Yeah. There we are. Paint. Now, you can save a lot of weight with getting rid of paint, can't you?
Yeah, paints. I've taken paint off a bike frame before and saved over 300 grams. Say, off the frame and fork, strip all the paint off. You can save a lot, and there are a lot of companies actually up and down the land, and in different countries as well, I'd imagine, that we'll offer this as a service. You can have all the paint taken off your bike if you really want to go there.
But what we'd like to know is from the viewers, what have you done to make your bike really light?
Yeah, just send us in using the uploader, which is below, any modifications you've done to make your bike lighter. Because what we've talked about, it's
the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
isn't it, really?
it's by no means an exhaustive list. We want to see things that you've done, because we bet that some of you guys have done some amazing things to your bikes.
So first up this week is a new helmet from Lamar, and I've never actually heard a helmet marketed in such a way. Apparently it's a gravel specific helmet, or for gravel lovers at least. So the Airstar has been designed and developed for gravel lovers in mind. Well, I can't really differentiate what makes it so special for gravel riding as opposed to a normal road helmet. But anyway, let's take a look at the details.
Yeah, so the Airstar is part of Lamar's new Air Revolution range of helmets, and although Lamar isn't making any specific claims about the exact aerodynamic performance of this helmet, I mean, it certainly looks fast. Yeah, it's a nice looking lid.
Yeah, it does. So despite not having a massive number of vents, it's been designed with the Venturi effect in mind. So for those of you who don't know what that is, basically it's where the air is exiting the helmet, or kind of like halfway point. There's a load of turbulence created by the incoming air that's already coming into the helmet. And that in turn increases the suction flow of that air coming in. So it's kind of like a vacuum, but a natural effect, if that makes sense. That's probably the easiest way to explain it without doing loads of science in here and us having our hair going crazy.
Well, that is pretty cool, but for me, the coolest part of the helmet is the little light that's on the retention dial at the back. Now, actually something that we've seen on other helmets as well, but I think this is a really neat one, and it's just a nice little way to improve a bit of visibility and safety.
Yeah. Now, the Morse Cage is a collaboration between Wolf Tooth Components and King Cage, and this is going to help particularly smaller riders who have problems currently accommodating water bottles into a smaller sized frame. So the common alternative at the moment to the Morse Cage is in fact a side-loading water bottle cage, so you just slide it in.
Yeah. There's also taller riders who don't have to bend down as far.
Yeah.
So the Morse Cage offers vertical adjustment, 36 millimeters of it in terms of how high you want to fit your bottle. And it does this through its dot mounting mechanism, hence Morse Cage. Get it?
I get it, yeah. And lastly this week, Muc-Off have just released a new women-specific chamois cream. This one is said to be pH balanced. It's enriched with shea butter, aloe vera, and sunflower oils to moisturise as you ride.
Yeah, I mean, it contains provitamins and it's antibacterial, which is really important for stopping you getting saddle sores, and it contains no parabens as well, which I don't know what they are, but apparently they can cause skin irritation, which you definitely don't want in your delicate areas.
No, definitely not. And to be honest with you, it sounds like they contain all the good things that you'd want and none of the bad things that you wouldn't want.
Try it out. It sounds great. I want some.
More tech next week. So last week, Si and Ollie introduced a new section for you, and that was Screw Riding Upgrades, Buy Upgrades, something which I'm a huge fan of because I love having bits of bike tech and bling and kit, and well, to be honest, I just like getting something new for my bike.
Yeah, we had lots of really awesome submissions in the uploader.
Loads.
So, you know, go click on the link below, use the uploader.
Send in yours.
Some of our favourites sent in this week. Without further ado, so we had one from Matt Divad Life. Treated themselves to a pair of Zip 304 wheels. So that is a 404 at the back and a 303 at the front, which is really cool because you know, a bit less, a bit more aero at the back, but a bit more stability in crosswinds at the front. So we like that, and
love that sort of upgrade.
And that on his BMCT machine, that looks really smart.
Yeah, that does look cool, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Great photo as well against the concrete wall. Top marks for that. That's good.
We're stepping into bike vault territory if we start, you know, rating photos.
Quality upgrade, though.
Yeah. What else have we got? Oh, what's it? Adam of KC. Got himself a new pair of ceramic bearinged aluminium jockey wheels. Now, in the past, I've done this, and at the time, the increased noise between the chain and the jockey wheels It did irritate me a little bit, to be perfectly honest, but since then I've actually refitted some and I've just got on with it and accepted the tiny little bit of extra noise, which you can get, for the extra bling look. And that does look bling. Gold. We like gold chains, we like bits of gold on a bike. If I had my way, my bike would look like Mr. T's neck, covered in gold, covered in bling.
Adam from Antwerp is the next one we've got. So he sent this bike into the bike vault a couple of weeks back.
We like that, didn't we?
Yeah, but now he's told us the story. So he bought this Mercs with an old Chorus group set and what he describes as the sexiest wheels ever.
Actually, I described them as that.
Well,
but they are.
Campy Chamals.
Yeah.
But that bike had flat bars on it, which was a violation. Yeah. Anyway, here's what he's upgraded it to.
Basically, he's gone retro, but with a modern
twist.
There we are.
It's
just right, isn't it? But I like the fact he's shown the upgrades he's bought for it, hasn't he, in that picture?
Yeah, I mean, that's top marks. If you're going to be submitting this into screw upgrades, ride upgrades in the future, if you get extra points if you show us the before and the after.
Yeah.
We really like that. That's really good. And don't forget to submit your upgrades for next week's show, where there's also going to be a prize. So now each week in screw upgrades, ride upgrades, we're going to give away to the best submission a GCN apron.
Yeah, exactly. So you can work on your upgrades wearing a GCN apron. Yeah. We couldn't give one away this week because, well, it wouldn't be fair, would it, really? Because we didn't say so. No. So, yeah, as of next week, GCN aprons, and it's our decision, isn't it? It's final.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't argue with us. Bike of the week time, then. I love this bit. But first of all, let's reveal the results of last week's, where we put Jakob Fuglsang's custom painted Argon 18 Galleon Pro, that's so tasty, up against the Dutch TT champion of Team Sky, Dylan van Baal, that Pinarello Bolide. And well, this is extremely, extremely close.
Yeah, it's one of the closest ones we've had.
Yeah, I couldn't quite believe it. 51% of the votes. Yep, it's that Argon 18. Oh, imagine we had a draw. We'd have to just roll over, wouldn't it? Roll over
like lottery, yeah.
Yeah, just roll it over, keep rolling it over.
So this week, right, lightweight battle.
Ooh.
So we've got the BH Ultralight of Amel Mwynar from the Fortunato Samsic team. We did a video of that bike as well, don't we?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
So you can check that out.
Yeah.
And we're going to put this up against James Lousy Williams, our very own James Lousy Williams, Trek Madone, 9 SLR9,
9 disc.
Yeah, so I don't know why I said it was a battle of the lightweights, because that's not the lightest bike in the world.
But there's a lightweight versus aero, and it's us versus the pros, isn't it? Really? And who are you going to go for?
Well, I've got a Trek as well, so I'm going to go for that because it's like voting for my own bike.
There's also a backstory here because you once rode against Amel Mwynar, didn't you? And he dropped you, I believe. We were talking off camera just now, and he said, "I remember that name."
Yeah, I rode against. Well, I was out with BMC, and we rode up against the Izoar, and Mwynar was testing me out, but he was sort of like toying with me like a cat with a mouse.
Oh, brilliant.
And about 2k from the top, I'd managed to stay with him, and I was on my limit, and I was dying, and he was probably just zone 2. And then he just like attacked, and then he rode off laughing to himself going, "Aha, he's cracked, and I'm just like, oh god.
That's not very nice, is it? Anyway,
vote for the Trek.
No. Vote for the bike which you think deserves to win up there in the corner. We'll reveal the results next week and have 2 more head-to-head. Always do that. Now it's time for the moment of the show where probably most viewers out there are on tenterhooks, wondering if they've made it into the show this week.
It's my favourite. It's the bike vault. I've got the belt.
Be careful.
The bell of justice.
No ring. No. Who wants to ring it this week? You can. Good. Okay. Yes. Right. Right then. Let's see who's inside the bike vault this week and who gets voted nice or super nice. As ever, you know what to do. Use that uploader tool to send in pictures of your bike. There's a link to it in the description below. And yeah, maybe you'll find yourself in here and we will rate you nice or super nice. Let's crack on. First one this week, Alexander from Auckland in New Zealand. A 2003 Cervelo Duel. Apparently, Alexander, he bought it as a frame and slowly built it up to race at crits, also just to have a cool bike. Can't argue with that. Stripped the frame and polished it, then added bits and pieces as they went along. That would have taken a while to strip back that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I've good marks for the stripping the paint off.
Love a
and
good
stuff.
strip.
I think that's like our custom thing that we had a few weeks ago. So I'm a big fan of that. Got a lot of time for that, and I love the aluminium finish. And a big fan of that version of Dura 8.
What about the wheels? The wheels are pretty deep, don't they?
I think for me, the wheels are just a little bit too big, a little bit too deep. The proportions just aren't quite
the frame,
right.
It looks like you would get blown away, doesn't it, with that? I think I would.
Yeah, I think it's a very nice bike.
It's a nice bike.
I don't think it's quite super nice.
No, it's a nice bike though, Alexander. Good effort. Do like that. Oh, look at this. Right, so this is sent in from Alistair. It's actually his son's bike, but I reckon
Glastonbury as well.
Yeah, Glastonbury Tour in the background there. Yeah. But I reckon his son actually wrote the description because he said, dragging my dad around 50 miles. It was his son's birthday. They stopped in Glastonbury for a bacon butty. 12th birthday today. It's his red chili bike, Campag Potenza 11 speed. I mean, that's a mighty fine bike, isn't it, for a 12-year-old?
Oh, when I was a junior, I would love to.
Yeah, I was on a bike
amazing.
that they delivered bread on in those black and white adverts when I was 12 years old.
Yeah, well, bacon butty on your 12th birthday and demolishing your dad around Glastonbury.
Oh, it's super nice, isn't it?
Halcyon days.
Yeah.
I think that's super nice for that.
Yeah, super nice. Yeah, and happy birthday, many happy returns. Oh, another one from Auckland, in New Zealand.
Nice.
Who's this then? Dave.
Dave, yeah, he's got his Klein here.
Yeah.
Oversized tubing on this classic custom painted green splash Klein. Almost 30 years of goodness. I mean, it's down tube shifters on there, look very tidy as well. So he's got custom paint, Shimano 600 group set.
That's the Tricolor one. That's bang on.
He's also got, bio-paste chain rings.
Controversial at the time.
Controversial choice, but a nice piece of retro tech.
Yeah.
And it looks all in immaculate condition, I have to say.
Mavic, they look like GP4s. I can just see a little bit of purple on the logo of that. I'm getting a bit of geek attack here. Now, this is something which I miss on modern wheels. You see on the rims where they have those like worn out patches where the spokes are in. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, it's just...
Love it.
I mean, top marks, I would say, for keeping that bike in such good condition.
Yeah, one piece.
You know, it is, but it's...
I think that's super nice.
Yeah,
super nice. Go on. Give it a ring. Right. Who next? Jamie, Zurich in Switzerland. Look at that for a backdrop. That's a nice place, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I've been there. It's nice.
Yeah, I've been there. Emma's been there. All right, Colnago Master Olympic. Apparently it's got a period Campagnolo Chorus 8-speed group set, new custom-built wheels with new old stock Campag hubs laced to H+ sun rims, wrapped in Conti Grand Prix classic tyres. Of course, they got those sort of tan-wall sidewalls. Taken at the Rapper's Wheel at the bottom of Lake Zurich. Although it's not at the bottom because that would be, underwater. But yeah, it's obviously at the bottom end of it.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Well, nice Colnago Master Olympic.
Yeah.
Classic sort of colour scheme on there.
Yeah.
Big fan of that. I really like the chain set on that bike as well.
Yeah. It's the right gearing, but something about it, I don't know.
It's just not. It's nice, but it's just missing that kind of like wow factor.
Yeah, that real big wow. Look at this. Look at me. I'm a Colnago master.
Yeah.
Like, come and give me a super nice. That's what it's missing. The saddle doesn't look very high, does it, compared to the bars? Yeah. But anyway, Jamie, personally, for me, that's a nice bike. Nice for you.
Yeah. Well,
nice one. Right. Final bike this week from Red in Southampton in the UK. He custom painted the bike himself, or theirselves.
Good work.
Added classic Zip 808s. Remember those ones, the big stickers?
Oh, yeah.
For the semi-retro look. Had to get the cassette machined as they're a 10-speed hub, so I think they cut out about 1.3 mil from the back of a cassette to get them to go over it. I'll take a 6800 with a quark power meter. Please excuse the front valve not being centred. What do you reckon of that then? That stem and head tube looks interesting, doesn't it? It's more like a time trial bike.
Yeah, I mean, that looks seriously aero. I mean, that's... I really like that top tube.
It looks like a big
stem
bike as well, a
design.
big old head tube on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a very aero-looking machine, but for me...
Oh, there's a classic faux pas there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Photography is one of our, well, it's not one of our specialist subjects. We're not very good at it.
I think he Red, I think you need to practice using the tilt shift function on Instagram because you've blurred out your saddle. I've seen what you're trying to do. You know, commend the effort, but you've blurred out your saddle, and I think that's gonna cost him a super nice.
Doesn't quite cut the mustard, as they say.
No.
Really nice. Don't see many bikes in that colour scheme.
No.
Anyway, as ever, you know what to do. Submit your bikes into the Bike Vault. Use that uploader tool down there, and who knows, maybe your bike will get through to us to rate either nice or
super nice.
And when we say super nice, we ring that bell. So there we are. Nearly time for the end of the show. It's a sad moment each and every time, but what's coming up on the channel this week, I hear you ask? Well, on Saturday, I take a look at the bike of Matty Hayman, who is something of a legend in the pro peloton. And on Sunday, Ollie gets to check out how to repair carbon fibre. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Can't wait for that one to come out. On Monday, we're doing how to fit new jockey wheels to your bike.
An essential part of every rear derailleur.
Yeah, pretty cool.
You know, yeah.
Wednesday, we've got a tech clinic. And Thursday, it's going to be episode 35 of the GCN Tech Show.
Yeah, and also during the Vuelta a España, we have got a highlights package each and every day over on Facebook. So you can join Lloydie on there and see what exactly has been going on there. And you know what? I'm off there tomorrow to go and check out some of the pros' bits and pieces. So I'll be there stalking them. So hopefully I don't get any restraining orders this time. But also remember to check out the GCN shop too at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com because we have a whole heap of goodies and some special products too during the month of the Vuelta, or the 3 weeks in fact. Stuff like this. Very fancy indeed. And now for another great video. How about this time? Find out all about Dynamo hubs and what they're all about with this guy. Click. Where should I click for that one?
Yeah.
Here.